Well, number one, I would say it's easier to teach a child than an adult. When an adult starts to take to the water, if they haven't been in the water a lot, their body's generally extremely stiff. So, to work with them, staying nice and calm and taking the width of the pool, like 15, 20 feet, and trying just to put their face in the water, push from one side to the other, and below long, slow, true, honest, calm bubbles. If they can do that, and then that's where it is. Swimming, going very, very slow. Get used to the way the water feels around their body. Get used to them letting their body go enough for their body to be able to be held up. Men generally don't float. Women do because they're not as dense. There are some teachers that I have, like Mr. Charles. He can float. I cannot float. I'm saying this. Indian children, African American kids, their bodies are different. The African American kids, their body is, they have more muscle. They will sink in a heartbeat.
Oh, interesting.
So, yeah, and the same with adults. So how do you teach a rock to turn into a feather? There are many methods to get kids to get adults to do that, but they have to go inside of themselves to overcome that because there's a lot of innate fear going on.
Yes.
So for an adult, getting back to your question, that's what I would start out with. I would start out with that. If they can't come to us, and just don't get themselves in even though we don't talk about deep water. For an adult, I would say do not go in water where you're going to be
unable
in water.
To touch the bottom.
You're unable to touch the water. That's why when we were young, and we tell parents, don't let your kids swim in shallow water. If your kids don't swim in shallow water, guess what? They learn and they get to feel what this depth is about, and they get to respect it a lot more.
Yep.
Because if you fall in water and you can't touch the bottom, and that's all you're used to, panic.
Yes,
that's what's going to happen.
Big problem.
Yeah.
Okay,
big problem.
So on floating, so I was trying to have the kids teach me how to float last year, and I could not do it. So can you float like these kids float?
That's the thing. I cannot float, and nor can most kids that have a lot of density. They can't float, but you can get to a point where your body can be calm enough, and you can keep your face out of the water enough to save your life.
Yes. Okay.
There's a skill to get you there.
You might not be floating like this with your whole body and your toes up out of the water.
Yep.
You might be floating like this.
Yes.
With your head, your tail, what we call your tail, your legs and
Okay.
bottom are dropped down, but your head's still up and you're able to breathe.
Okay, gotcha.
Right?
So I can do that, and I can float decent on my back as long as I have the occasional kick with my feet. I can float, but I can't do it just motionless like the kids do. And we're saying that's not a problem. Most adults can't, or at least adult males can't float motionless on their back anyway.
Most cannot.
Okay, got you. Okay, so back to the adult maybe that didn't have this training as a kid. They can go through underwater, blowing those bubbles. They feel comfortable with that. What might be a good next step?
Next step is if they're going to do it by themselves, is to watch maybe watch a YouTube video on freestyle.
Okay.
And to be able to not try to breathe, because breathing is extremely, extremely hard for a stiff adult. To now start using their arms to try to get them some propulsion through the water from one side to the other. They could always get a kickboard too and try to kick from one side to the other. But most people who are really stiff, to try to get them to kick across the pool, what generally happens is they will kick and they'll still go down like this, or they'll be so rigid in their body that they'll expend an incredible amount of energy going from point A to point B, and then if they don't get the side, their body's so tense and they don't know how to reverse that. Guess what happens? They go down. Or a child, and I've seen this many times before, when you're in a traumatic situation in the water, you can't hear, you can't see, you can't rationalize.
Yeah, it's just everything shuts down.
Everything shuts
you go
down.
into panic mode.
Yes.
I told an adult several years ago, started panicking at my swimming pool. I said, grab the ladder. and I stay calm. You got to stay calm. You got to do the opposite of what they are to try to get them to listen to you.
Yep.
Grab the ladder.
Yeah.
Could not hear me, could not see me. If I wouldn't have helped them, they would have drowned.
This was an adult.
And the ladder was right there. Yeah, and the ladder was like right in front of her, but she was in such a panic.
Yes.
It's a big problem.
Yeah.
And there are kids that come out of the womb, seriously, that are deathly afraid of the water. If you bring your child to me and you go tell your friends, my child didn't like swimming lessons, they were crying, they're scared of the water. Please, that's another thing. Please don't do that. Just because your child doesn't like the water or doesn't like coming to swim lessons does not mean they're afraid
scared,
of the water.
or like have some kind of phobia.
Yes.
If 2 of 10 children are natural swimmers, 1 in 50 kids or 60 kids, or probably even higher than that. And I really haven't thought about it, but it's very minute. The ones that have an innate fear of the water, and you have to treat them extremely different.
Yeah.